And I also want to say that please be aware that this is a public meeting. It's being recorded. And there is a court reporter here. Because this meeting is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. By continuing to be in this meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. After saying that, I'd like to give it to the chair, Nancy Cameradiner, and Nancy, please take it away.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. The Tax Review Board hearings for December 7th, 2021 will come to order. We have one item that's on today's agenda that has been continued before today's meeting. That's item number 5, Eckerd Garvin, last 4 digits of the docket 2671. We then have 4 other cases, the first of which is for someone who is present, and we're getting that individual into the room, so he will join us on camera in just a moment. The person's name is Dawn Medchi, and the case is last 4 digits of the docket 2673, and it involves a property at 277 Harvey Street. I see that our petitioner is in the room. We'll give him a moment to get settled there. And I would ask that he sit as close to the computer as possible, because that's where the camera and the microphone are. And when you're settled, if you would identify yourself for the record, please.
I'm Don Matchy.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who has this matter for the city?
If the board pleases, Kareem Safedine, counsel for the city.
Okay, do you have anyone else with you who will be presenting who needs to be sworn?
Ms. Jones, if she can introduce herself.
Natasha Jones, Water Revenue Bureau.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Does the city have any opening comments before we turn to the petitioner?
I will briefly, but I've prepared something, but my computer's not loading it. If you'll give me like 2 seconds for it to load.
Okay, take your time if you have something that you want us to see.
Okay. Main disadvantage of doing this remotely. We're reliant on our machines. There we go.
Are you trying to share something?
Yeah, I'm about ready. Just give me 1 moment. It's
Okay.
Finally. I just checking my notes to confirm what I recall.
While he's doing that, could we get the numbers for the record, Nance?
That would probably be a good thing. If we could, Ms. Jones?
Okay. The petitioner's questioning billing period, April 17th, 2014 through June 15th, 2016. Principal, $5,313.32. Penalty, $148.64. Lien, $10, for a total of $5,471.96.
I'm sorry, can you repeat those numbers?
Principal, $5,313.32. Penalty, $148.64. Lien, $10, for a total of $5,471.96.
Thank you. And the periods again?
April 17th, 2014 through June 15th, 2016.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, very, 1 second. First, very briefly, I do have a jurisdictional issue for the board. Mr. Medchi entered a judgment by agreement on March 12th, 2018. Excuse me, on February 4th, excuse me, all right, hold on.
Yeah.
There's a judgment for a portion of the period under. There's a judgment for a portion of the period that's under petition. And so it's outside the board's jurisdiction. And it is a final judgment. It's a judgment by agreement that the petitioner signed. I did forward a copy of this judgment to the board if it wants to peruse it. I'm noting that as a jurisdictional issue since the period does not, the period covered in the judgment does not entirely encompass everything that's under dispute.
What is the period that is covered by the judgment? So we can make note of that on the decision sheet.
The period under judgment is it starts November 22nd, 2016 and runs through December 9th, 2017. Which
You
covers
said December 22nd?
November 22nd.
November? Because something that we have in writing from you has 7/22/16.
That must be an error.
So then the correct, because that's what we have from municipal court that says.
Is that on the face? Wait, let me check. Let me check the actual judgment. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm comparing the judgment and the it is July 22nd. I apologize.
Which means that it's not impeding the dates that were just given by your office. Which are
I think
4/17/14 through 6/15/16, and this the judgment starts in July of 16.
Mm-hmm. Well, the petition itself, is ambiguous as to how much, as to when the period ends.
I'm just going by what was entered in the record a few minutes ago, and so if those numbers are accurate, and I'm looking at them in our notes here, I would say that this judgment would not impinge on the time period, and so the issue you were about to raise apparently would not apply here.
All right, that's fine. Aside from that, so setting aside the judgment, putting it to one side, I'm raising now that this petition was filed on April 12th, 2018, for debts accruing from July 2014 through, at the latest, February 2017. That's what I have in my notes. But whatever was stated. Now, as that is well after 60 days, well after 60 days before the end date of any period, Mr. Menke needed to seek the board's leave to file his petition non-pro-tunc, but he never did so. And
I'm interrupting to say that I'm looking at our file, and there was a request for a rehearing, which was granted 5/1/19, and this is the first listing since then, as near as I can tell from our records.
So the original petition was filed in 2018, and the period it seeks is 2014 through 16 or 17. So it's essentially was filed out of time, and he didn't seek non-pro-tunc consideration. And at least we have no record of that.
To see if there was something like that, there were a couple of hearings that went forward after that date, so that I think we negated the effects of that by our actions.
I couldn't quite hear you.
Okay, I was, perhaps because I was going through some of the files here, but it looks to me like there were activities that went on with this board, or portions of this board represented by our master, that kept this in motion in a time period that you were indicating we didn't have appropriate activity.
This is Melissa Andre, the executive director. It looks like when he filed the petition, he filed it with a bill that was within the 60 days, which is
Yeah.
what is required. So I think you're just making for the record, your argument that this was untimely filed.
This was, yes, this was untimely filed, and it should be rejected as being untimely filed because the period, it's actually under dispute, which is between 2014 and 16, is number one, outside the period, and number two, he had notice, and he clearly had notice because he was paying periodically and in contact with water revenue. So he can't claim ignorance of these bills during the time that they were being issued in 2014 through 16. And relatedly, because he was paying and his payments actually up through July 15th of 2016 completely satisfied his liabilities up to that point. That means for the period from July 17th, 2014 through July 15th, 2016, Mr. Medke's proper remedy was actually a request for refund because he's already paid those amounts. So at a minimum, the board should exclude from its consideration any bills issued before July 15th, 2016, as they would only properly be before the board if he were to first request and then be denied a refund and then come here to challenge the denial of refund.
So Mr. Safedine, are you then saying that for the period which was read into the record, April 17th, 2014 through June 15th, 2016, there is nothing due?
That is correct.
That's not what was read into the record. That's what's confusing to us about this.
You have to look at because the amount that's under dispute was, it doesn't account for subsequent payments or for payments at the time. That's the amount of bills that were challenged.
But those bills are all paid.
But those bills have since been paid, yes. If you look at, and I think Ms. Jones can pretty easily show this. Can you pull up basis?
Nancy, could we start with petitioner, Mr. Medici, and see what he's actually here for?
Yeah, I think I was thinking the same thing. So let's hesitate for a moment here. And in that time period, you can see whether you have the records that have just been alluded to. And let's turn to the petitioner and have him tell us why he's here and what it is he's looking for from this board.
All right, can I talk?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I was hoping that I had the ability to give everyone this letter that I've written on behalf of what I want and what I want to see happen. Shall I read that letter?
Please, or at least an excerpt from it that would help us understand what you're looking for.
Okay, so of course I'm seeking to resolve this historical billing issue. And from 2010 to 2017, there were 3 household members. Since 2017, there were only 2. So my actual water usage has gone down currently for the last 2 years when comparing to those previous years. And there has been no evidence of any leaks during this or after the reporting issue, nor were there any repairs, improvements, or any construction-related issues to account for the excessive increase and subsequent decrease. From 2010 to 2013, I used approximately 120 CCFs annually, costing around $900. From 2018 to 2021, I've used approximately 51 CCFs annually, costing $720. Something is clearly not correct in how the usage was calculated and billed from 2014 through 2017. I believe there's been an error in how this usage was calculated. I was reported to have used between 230 and 430 CCFs annually. This increase is well beyond normal. I have printouts of 2 spreadsheets compiling data from the actual water department billing statements that clearly show the amount of water usage reported during the stated period and drastically higher than historical or current usages. I was billed in 2014, 234 CCFs, a 54% increase. 2015, 341 CCFs, 67% increase. 2016 CCFs, 430 CCFs, 73% increase. And additionally, the first 2 months of 2017, the increase was 73%. So in total, this amounts to a total billing of $8,000 for that period, those periods, of which when I compare this usage to average usage before and after, I believe I was overbilled $5,300. And I would like to know what could cause such an anomaly in water consumption. My water consumption, when compared to historical averages, increased 54% in 2014, 67% in 2015, and 73% in 2016, before falling back to the normal range in March of 2017. This represents an increase of 12 to 22,000 gallons per month. This increase cannot be explained by a leaking toilet or water spigot. It's well known that these sort of leaks can cause increased water consumption by 3 to 4 CCFs or 3,000 gallons annually. My increased usage cannot be dismissed as reckless and uncontrolled behavior. So I'm trying to get a resolution to have somebody look at this data and make sense of it for me, that I believe I've been overbilled.
Do you have, or did you have anyone look at your property to see if there were any leaks or any other issues that may have affected the consumption, but were not readily apparent to you?
Yes, I did. I had several plumbers look at it when I had them there for other things. And to have this kind of usage and generate that water volume, my basement would have been flooded 24/7, 12 months out of the year for 3 years. And that is not possible.
Any questions from other board members?
Good afternoon. Thank you for that testimony. Do you have any statements or materials from the plumbers that you had come in to evidence that there was clearly that this usage is just not?
No, it was just all anecdotal. They were there for other reasons, working on other issues. And I asked the question. I had them look at the water meter. I had them look at my basement.
Okay.
And of course, there was no evidence of any water damage and or continual flooding.
Okay, thank you very much.
Did you have any contact with anyone in the water department back at that time to look at your situation?
Well, prior to 2014, I had read somewhere where water rates were going up. So during 2014, of course, my water rates went way up, and I thought, well, that just must be what's happening. Then after that went on for a number of months, I called to try to find out what was going on. And it's impossible to get through to anyone at the water department. And you have to remain on hold for hours at a time. And at the time I had a job, I couldn't sit on hold for that long during the day. So when I finally did reach someone to talk about it, they told me that my only recourse was to come here to the Revenue Water Department, the Revenue
The tax
Board.
report. Um,
Mr. Safedine, can the city confirm some of this testimony with regard to increase and then decrease in usage history? Not seeing an account history and all the paperwork that we have.
If the board pleases, it should have been, Ms. Jones should have sent a summary, a standard summary. I believe she sent it yesterday afternoon. I was CC'd on that email, but that is present. She can also pull that up, and that will happen in the course of my direct examination of Ms. Jones. If I might be allowed to ask Mr. Medshi, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, Matchy.
Madshi, a few questions?
Yes,
yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Just confirming some items here. So you own 277 Harvey Street, correct?
yes,
And that seems to be your residence, that's your home?
yes,
And it's a single family a semi-detached house, correct?
yes, yes.
Okay. Do you live there alone or are there other people in your house?
There are 2 people in the house.
Is that including yourself?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, so yourself and one other.
yes,
And so you're saying that you had plumbers perform some inspections for leaks, but they did not give you a report?
right.
Did you ever specifically commission a plumber to do an inspection, like call them specifically to perform a leak test?
No, they were only there for other purposes.
Okay, and did you ever did they search for hidden leaks or only leaks in in fixtures?
They searched the water pipes from the meter all the way through the house and then each water spigot
Mhm.
and toilet.
Okay. So I'd like to establish a survey of the property's water usage. Some very quick questions about the fixtures. How many bathrooms are there?
2,
And each has a toilet and a faucet, correct?
yes.
And how many have showers? Or
1,
bathtubs?
one has a
Okay.
bathtub, 1 has a shower.
Okay. And does this property have a kitchen?
Yes,
The kitchen has a faucet, right?
yes,
Is there a dishwasher as well?
no,
Okay. And do you have on-site laundry?
yes,
Okay. So you have a washing machine?
yes,
Okay. That concludes my cross-examination of Mr. Madji.
yes,
And if you'll allow me to first address the reading history that board member Weiss wanted. Ms. Jones, could you please pull up the reading history in Basis and share your screen?
Yes.
And if you could scroll down to the period 2014 through 2016. So starting there and then moving up. Board member Weiss, is this giving you the picture you need?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and we'll just scroll up a little more. And again, did the board all get the history statement that
No, we didn't
No?
get the reading statement. I don't think Chris sent it to me. Natasha,
Okay.
I mean, I think we could talk offline afterwards, but Natasha, when you're sending them, can you also CC me? So that way they'll make sure they'll be in the file.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, they were sent to water.trb. I do recall
You-
that.
You want to go to you, Melissa?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay.
And
You can
these are
stop screen.
actual readings. These
Mhm.
are actual.
To summarize, correct. And Ms.
Natasha, you're sharing
Jones,
your
if you could.
emails.
We lost
Okay,
it.
okay, I'll send it to
Screen
you, I'll
sharing.
send it to you later.
Yeah, thanks.
And you can stop screen sharing, Natasha.
Okay.
That's not going to be necessary. All right. So Ms. Jones, have you had a chance to review this customer's account?
Yes,
And what type of installation is 277 Harvey Street?
residential,
Okay. Mr. Madshi is challenging the bill in this matter from July 17th, 2014 through through June of 2016, it seems. What charges appeared on the bill for this property during that time?
stormwater usage and service charges,
And were the usage charges actual or estimated?
actual,
Okay. Now, did technicians go out to this property between July 17th, 2014 and February 15th, 2017?
no,
Okay. Did Mr. Medshi make payments during the dispute period?
yes,
How many?
17,
And during the period July 17th, 2014, during the period under dispute, did Mr. Medshi ever make payments that brought his running balance to $0?
yes,
How many?
6,
And when was the last time that during the period that the running balance was $0?
July 15th, 2016.
And for the board's convenience, there is a account history statement in the production, in the city's production.
Could you say that again, please?
For the board's convenience, there is an account history statement in the production I forwarded for a financial account, not readings.
Okay, that's what I didn't understand. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That concludes my direct examination of Ms. Jones. If Mr. Medshi has questions for her, he's free to ask them.
Okay, so I've seen something similar to what she showed on the screen. And I have that actually for the time period. I have every bill that I've received from 2010 through just November of 2021. I inputted all that information and then summarized by year and month. And it clearly does not look normal. So I challenge anybody to take a look at that and tell me that that makes sense for a household to be using that much water. There has to be something wrong with the meter.
Okay. I think that concludes everyone's presentation. I have a brief closing statement, unless the board has more questions for anyone.
I have a question. Was there any meter change or any inspection done by the city of Philadelphia?
If board member Matthews pleases, I asked Ms. Jones whether the technicians visited the property during the dispute period, and her answer was no. So the answer is no.
Thank you.
And just a question for Mr. Manchi. So your bill was circulating, looking at this exhibit, your bill was around $100 and something, and then it jumped up to approximately $200. Is that where you're saying the bill for was extremely high for you? I'm just trying to.
Yeah, it had been around $100 for 3 people and about 14 CCF units per month, and exploded to as high as $305, 36 CCFs in May of 2016.
Okay.
And then it continued for many months, well above $200.
So you're saying your issue began in May of 2016 or 2014 as the city just presented?
My issue began in January of 2014.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we were, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Mr. Mecci. You did mention that you had plumbers out to your house, although you have nothing in writing for this specific issue of whether there were leaks. What kind of work were they doing?
Repaired or changed a garbage disposal and put a new kitchen sink faucet in my kitchen.
Thank you.
And I'm more than willing to have another plumber come back out and give an estimate of what they think the condition of everything is to see if there's any evidence of any major flooding, because that kind of water usage would produce permanent water damage and it would be noticeable.
You mentioned earlier that there was a change in the number of people in the house. Could you repeat that and emphasize what the time periods were in terms of how many people were there using the facilities?
Let's see what my notes say. From 2010 to 2017, there were 3 household members. Subsequent to 2017, there are 2.
Okay. I couldn't remember what the date was and whether it was a large difference or not. So it was 3 individuals in that earlier period, and then after that it was 2. Okay, thank you.
Right. Mhm.
Any
If
other-
if I might ask Mr. Mechie one very quick question that he, based on what he'd said about his about this that he raised.
Please go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Mechie, when did you have the plumber install the new garbage disposal and the new faucet?
That was in 2019. I had a heart attack on February 29th, 2020. So any of this activity that I would have been working on was prior to that. So it was probably in the fall of 2019.
Okay.
But that's not a time period that's under consideration in this.
No.
hearing.
No,
Okay.
but it was when I was meeting with you all and trying to explain what I thought was going on. I just happened to have a plumber come. I can't remember what the date was. Somebody had mentioned a date when there was a hearing and a continuance filed. I have that in my record somewhere, but I don't have that handy for me to look at.
It's in our records about the case history.
Okay.
Okay. Unless there's something else that either side wants to bring up, I think it's time for the board to step aside and have a discussion offline from everyone else and see whether we can come up with a decision.
One moment. Did the city have closing statement?
Oh, I'm sorry. My
I have a brief-
apologies. I was thinking we had gotten that.
I have a very brief closing statement. Simply, first, of course, again, for the record and to preserve the argument, it is Mr. Medchie's burden to prove that there was something wrong with the meter, if that is, or to prove that there's anything wrong at all with the billing. That is the burden of proof before this board. Moreover, I don't think that he's made that showing. It's possible, that the issue was not something that would create a flood. A leaking faucet leaking into its own sink can cause that. A running toilet can cause high usage. There are various sources of high usage, which are known, which do not necessarily cause flooding. So I'm not saying that necessarily any one of these is the case, but it's Mr. Medchie's burden to prove that there is some explanation. It is the city's position, again, for the record, that he is not satisfied this burden. And again, it's also the city's position that the board lacks jurisdiction in its current posture because, as Ms. Jones testified, the account balance hit $0 during the period, which means that the bills in question were already paid and the proper recourse was to seek a refund.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, please do.
So I don't know whether you heard me say that it's well known and documented that a leaky toilet or faucet does not produce that kind of volume. It produces 3 to 4 CCFs annually or 3,000 gallons annually. That's way different than what I'm experiencing with 10 times that much on a monthly basis for months on end. So that doesn't stand up to me. And also, you're saying that it's my proof of burden. You own, I have nothing to do with the water meter. I don't control how that works. I believe that the reading that was gotten from that water meter was probably correct in that that's what the meter said. I just don't think the meter was working properly to overstate the usage by this volume.
Thank you very much. I think we're ready to step aside. So give us a few moments to get together and we'll discuss the matter and see if we can come up with a decision.
All right.
Everybody just stay where you are.
Another one? 358-517. 517. Hey, Mark. Fantastic. All right, I'm still. Oh, you're fantastic. Thank you, Mark.
Hold on, hold on, hold on. We're not.
I thought we were all back, but we're not all back yet.
We're just waiting for one board member. And she's right.
And, okay, we're all back now. We have discussed the matter and looked at some of the records, and I'm going to call upon our executive director, Melissa Andre, to who was the scribe while we were doing that, to read the decision into the record.
All right. In this matter, the first decision is from the period of 4/17/14 to 6/15/16. We'd like to adjust the water bill usage to 1,300 cubic feet per month. And then we would like to apply the paid penalties to the principal from first the period in question, which was 4/17/14, again to 6/15/16, and then all penalties that had been assessed and paid from January of 2018. So those should all be applied to the principal as well. Nancy?
Okay.
Oh, do all the board members concur?
That's right. We've already voted. I was thinking we had taken care of it, but for the record, please indicate your vote on this. Paula Weiss,
Paula Weiss, I concur.
George Matthew,
George Matthews, I concur.
Ryan Boyer,
Ryan Boyd concurs.
Dominique,
Dominique Ward concurs.
okay, and Nancy Camerdiner concurs. So we have a vote of all the boards supporting the decision. You'll get a letter from us that spells out our decision. Both sides do have the right to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas. I'm going to assume for the moment that neither side will choose to appeal. And at the end of a 30-day period, the adjustments should be made to the record and to adjust the balances that are still due and owing on the account. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Could you repeat what you are going to do? Because as a customer, I don't necessarily understand what 1,300.
Okay, I will say to you that there is an accounting of the average amount for each month. And I don't know if you have gotten a copy of the account history sheet, but that's what we're working from here. And if you haven't gotten it, we will see that you get a copy of that.
I'll give you the copy, but what
Yes.
we're doing is we're adjusting the usage bill to the CCFs you were using as of 4/14. And so
Okay.
that's carry over for that period of time between 4/14 and 6/16 that we said was the period at issue.
Okay.
Additionally, the board has determined that any penalties that had been assessed and had been collected, we'd like to reapply them to the principal minus the period that is covered by the judgment, which we cannot touch.
Okay. So what was the end date on that adjustment?
The end date is 6/15/16 of the period.
Okay.
That's going to be adjusted.
Okay.
So
So that
essentially-
doesn't cover July through December of 2016.
No, it does not, because we are not allowed to touch that because it is part of a judgment that you agreed to, and therefore the tax review board does not have jurisdiction.
Okay, so I felt like I was kind of strong-armed to sign that agreement when I
Well,
came in here.
We can't adjust that or deal with it in any way, shape, or form because it was handled by the court. And once that gets into the court jurisdiction, this board has no jurisdiction and can't touch it. So
Okay.
we have no leverage in any way with that.
All right.
All right.
I guess I have to live with that because there's no recourse I can take to try to get that taken care of with the city. Not the water board, but the counselor.
I don't know whether there's anything you could do because you've already agreed to it under the court order. So we have no role with it. You could explore it with legal counsel, I would imagine, but.
Will I get information on that, on how
Yeah.
to?
You'll get a
proceed?
decision from the tax review board stating the decision, and then you'll get a bill from the water department.
Okay, because it looks like I'm going to have to secure outside counsel to take care of this other part.
Can't comment on that. We don't know.
I thank you very much for making the adjustment for
Okay.
what you have responsibility for.
Thank you for coming in today, and we'll see that you've got a letter in the relative near future that spells everything out. And then again, if you want to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas, that would be an option for 30 days from the date of our letter.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Cavallo, I know, I see you. I just want to make sure you are case 101 Geiger Road, correct?
That's correct.
All right, hold on. Mr. Medici, are you
Machi.
done? You could,
I can leave, thank you.
yes, you can leave. Okay, Nikki, you can do number one. Okay.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is docket ending in 2449. Property address is 101 Geiger Road. I was going to say LLC, but that's the name of the official owner as it is the address. Please identify yourself for the record.
My name is Rocco Cavallo, owner of 101 Gardner Ridge.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Who has this matter for the city?
If the board pleases, I have this for the city, Kareem Safedine.
Okay.
And I have two witnesses, Ms. Jones, who's already been sworn, and Mr. Dybalski.
Okay, please identify yourself for the record. Is he on?
Yeah, I'm on. Andrew Dybowski, Philadelphia Water Department Meter Division Assistant Manager.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do.
Okay, thank you. If we could have the numbers for the record, I guess that's Ms. Jones. You're muted. Could we have the numbers for the record? Okay.
The petitioner's questioning billing period, March 28th, 2017 through May 24th, 2017. Principal, $1,745.04. Penalty, $113.90. Lien, 0, for a total of $1,858.94.
And what did you say the beginning of the period was? I'm sorry, I didn't get that written down.
March 28th, 2017.
And the ending was May 24th of 17, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Do you have any opening comments from the city?
So the petitioner challenges a period of 2 readings in the spring, summer of 2017 for allegedly being improbably high. It's simple, the city of simply state that readings were actual and progressive, and again emphasizes that it is the petitioner's burden to show that to the board's satisfaction. That.
Thank you. Then we will turn to the petitioner. Please tell us why you're here and what it is you're looking for from this board.
So we were simply looking to readjust those 2 months time periods for an exorbitant amount of usage. We too felt that it was a meter issue. The meter, in fact, did get replaced, and after replacement of the meter, the readings went back to normal usage.
Did the city replace the meter?
Yes.
And when was that done?
If the board pleases, I will elicit that information from Mr. Dybalski on direct. That might be a more efficient use of our time.
Oh, okay. Is there anything else from the petitioner in terms of what it is you're looking for, or your issues that you want to present to the board?
No, in addition, I have a plumber affordable fixes that's rented from us at the end unit here for about the past 5 years. And on multiple occasions has gone back and forth with us in writing and email, documenting a situation that we didn't have any leaks or any running toilets or anything else of the sort.
Is that something that you have in writing that can be presented to the board for our records? Or is there anything else that you could say about it that would help us to have that as part of the record?
We previously submitted it, but since then, do not have that information because ourselves as a tenant moved into Geiger Road in 2019. I do not have the files for 2019.
Well, the period in question here is all in 17.
Correct. I don't have those files. We moved
Oh,
from.
I see. Okay, so
we
you
moved from
started,
Roosevelt.
I misunderstood what you said.
That's okay. We moved from Roosevelt Boulevard to here ourselves, July of 2019, and then our transfer those files. You know,
I understand now. I misinterpreted what you said. Let's turn to the city and get more information from the city based on its records.
Thank you. I first have some cross-examination from Mr. Cavallo. Mr. Cavallo, just again to nail some things down. So 101 Geiger Road LLC owns 101 Geiger Road, correct?
That's correct.
And if I understand you correctly, you're the owner of 101 Geiger Road LLC?
That is correct.
And the property is commercial, correct?
Correct.
The information I have suggests that it's a gun shop and shooting range. Is that correct? Or was that correct in the spring, summer of 2017?
So there is a gun range and attached to it 4 more units, which are flex spaces.
Okay. So this property is open to the public, correct?
Yes.
Is the number of people who come into the property every week consistent or does it vary?
It can vary during that. I mean, now after COVID, it's been pretty busy compared to previously.
And of course, COVID would have affected all in-person businesses. So setting aside COVID, what kinds of events would cause variation in the number of people who come to the property?
So the gun range simply has 2 toilets and 2 sinks for water.
I'm asking number of people.
Yeah, average. It's pretty consistent.
Okay. And now on average, how many people would come into the property every week?
I can't testify to that because I don't run the gun range. They rent from me.
Okay.
There's Delaware Valley Sports Club. So I'm in effect as the owner arguing this case for the tenant because the tenant pays the water bill.
I
understand. And you said it as
Mr. Safedine, just so I could get it, I'm not sure I completely understand. Is this the bill specific to the gun range, or is this bill specific general for the entire property? Because you said there were 4 other attached flex units.
It's entire property. There's 1 meter for the entire property, which the gun range pays for.
And
Okay.
then my question, sorry. And then I wanted to ask, how many businesses were occupying the space back in 2017, the relevant time period for the bills that are at issue?
Probably 5. The gun range plus 4 more.
Thank you.
So how many bathrooms are not just in the gun range, but in the whole building?
Each building are their flex spaces, 50-foot long by about 16-foot wide, garage door, small office in the back, upstairs, downstairs. There is 1 sink and 1 toilet per unit.
Okay. So could you break that down? I couldn't quite follow.
So each unit for flex spaces downstairs has 1 sink, bathroom sink, and 1 toilet.
So that's 1 faucet, 1 toilet times 4?
Correct.
Okay. And then the gun range has an additional 2 bathrooms?
Correct.
Okay. And how many of these bathrooms are open to the public?
Just the gun range.
Okay. How many people use the bathrooms when they visit the range, or do you not know that?
I do not know that.
Okay. Are there any other water fixtures inside the building, like a kitchen? Or kitchenette?
Milestone's office has a kitchenette with 1 sink.
Okay. Are there any exterior water features like a hose tap?
On the interior of the 4 flex spaces, there are hose bibs.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm really unfamiliar with. Could you define a flex space?
Yes. So what they are is they're basically all contractors that are here. that have warehouse space down below, 50-foot long, by about 16-foot wide. And up above have approximately a little stairwell that goes up that is approximately 200 square feet. So the idea is for people to have 18-foot high ceilings, to store ladders, material, trucks inside, and a little office space upstairs, which really only 2 people have anybody in the office space.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. Does anyone regularly check all these toilets and faucets and other water fixtures for leaks, running toilets, people accidentally leaving stuff on?
So I also own a company called Cavallo Properties and Management, has several water bills also throughout the city of Philadelphia. And we ourselves monitor the entire building.
And what kind of a frequency do they do this kind of monitoring?
We have every 3 months for HVAC and plumbing and roofing.
Okay,
and
so
exterior.
it's possible then for something to be running or even, slightly on, or a mild leak to keep going for days or weeks or months and nobody would notice, correct?
Anything is possible, but it wouldn't even happen for days because the spaces are occupied and you would find an abundance of water. We had no leaks anywhere for anyone. We have the opposite problem. Toilets don't fill as fast because there's only one supply line coming in that branches off to all the other units, which if it was your house, you would be very upset with me.
Understood. Now, if I'm going to go quickly to about those reports. So you're saying that there were reports, plumbers reports, but you don't have them because they got lost in a move?
Correct, and there was emails. There's one email in front of me dated October 3rd, 2017 from our facilities person for Cavallo Properties and Management that documents the situation and the account number and that we were $1,500 over in the 2-month period.
Okay. Thank you. That concludes my cross-examination. If I could now begin my direct examination of Mr. Dybowski.
Please.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready, Kareem.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Andrew Dybowski.
And could you spell your last name since we can't give your card to the court reporter?
Okay, it's D as in dad, Y, B as in boy, A, L, S as in Sam, K, I.
Thank you. And where do you work?
Philadelphia Water Department Meter Division,
And how long have you worked at PWD?
27.5 years.
And what positions have you held there?
I've held everything from an entry-level residential service, water meter service representative to commercial, new construction, shop field testing, supervisor, and presently as an assistant manager.
Okay, so what are your responsibilities as assistant manager?
Presently, I oversee the permit unit, any new construction that goes on, as well as commercial accounts. Any commercial accounts meaning anything from 1.5 inch line or larger.
Okay.
Plus, I cross over into the residential as well.
Mm-hmm. In your previous roles, did you ever install water meters?
Yes.
How often?
For the first 23 years of my employment with the city of Philadelphia,
Mhm.
on a daily basis.
Okay. And did you receive training to do your jobs at PWD?
Yes.
Did your training include information about PWD's policies and procedures relating to the installation and repair of water meters?
Yes. We have
Does the
standard
water-
operating procedures.
Mhm. Does this water department have regular policies and procedures about what to do when you install or change a meter?
Yes, we do.
Does the water department have regular policies and procedures about making written records when a technician or other representative installs or services a meter?
Yes. First and foremost, we have a handwritten record, as well as a digital copy of the handwritten record and photos to substantiate anything that was written or taken in digitally.
Okay. Now, you mentioned handwritten records, digital records, and photographic records. Let's drill down into that. Who makes these handwritten records, and when and where?
The field service representative who has to work does information in front of the water meter right on site there, so they can have accurate readings and photographs and any other information they need pertaining to the meter. It's all written up on the site in front of the meter.
Mm-hmm. And what is the policy or procedure relating to taking photographic records?
The first step is to take a photograph of what you see upon arrival, getting an accurate picture of the reading that's on a register in comparison to the sending unit numbers, and the same thing upon completion. Whatever the reading is on the dial or on the register or the meter, as well as the sending unit number attached to that as well.
And does the water department have a system to track these written and photographic meter work records?
Yes, we do. We have a few systems we use. The information is quickly downloaded into a service link program we run, and eventually lands into the Slinky program, which is in direct linkage to the Water Revenue Bureau.
Okay. And you mentioned Slinky and Service Link. Are those different systems, or are they related in some way?
They're related in one way or the other. Service Link is basically what's used in the field to receive and send information to service workers. Slinky is what the creation and the end result comes from.
Okay.
And starts and ends.
Mm-hmm. And these systems, are they paper or electronic systems?
They're electronic systems.
Okay. And how often do you use these systems in your course of work as a supervisor?
Constantly, all day long. 2 programs are open and used interchangeably all throughout the day.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up a document that's I've marked as Exhibit 1. For the board's reference, I did submit this into production, although not marked. I will send a marked copy after the hearing for the board's records. So allow me to pull that up and share my screen. All right. Okay. So I'm going to scroll through this document just so that Mr. Dybowski has a chance to see it.
It hasn't shown up on our screen yet. I don't know if it has for anyone else.
Really, it's telling me I'm screen sharing. It should be a PDF.
Now
Okay,
it is.
now it's coming.
Okay. Okay. And just tell me when you've taken a look and know what it
I don't know if the
is.
whole thing is on the screen here. There, okay.
That's a little better, Kareem. All right.
Okay.
All right. The first document I see.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what it is?
Yes, it's an MROC card recorder. It's the paper copy of what the service worker found or whatever work they completed at location, which would be 101 Geiger Road.
Okay. And what is this document?
This is the downloaded information that was entered digitally off the card into the tablet that could be downloaded and viewed and saved in our system here.
Mm-hmm. And is this just for the visit referenced in on the MROC above, or is it different?
No, this is just for that specific date. It downloads and uploads daily.
Okay, but is it for just that specific visit for at
Yes,
that
that
property? Or is-
specific visit.
Mhm. But are there, I guess what I'm asking is, are there other visits on this sheet?
Oh, yes, there's other visits on that sheet by different service workers, et cetera. Yeah.
Okay.
It has to be filtered through to come to the date and location and time.
Okay, just to reduce, yes?
You just, oh, okay, I see it now. I thought for a second you had gone off the one for Geiger Road.
No.
Are you going to describe what's in that statement?
I'm currently just identifying these documents for the record.
Oh, okay.
And if I might, do you recognize what these next 2 pages are as well?
Yes, the top one is another work order MROC card from dated 6/9/17 with an change, which is the electronic sending unit and the register on the meter itself, and below is also the completed work printout from that date, which would have the address of Geiger Road on it as well.
All right. Okay. Now, where did the information in these documents come from?
Came from the information was entered in by the service worker in the field.
Okay, and when you say in the field, I'm going to parse your words a little bit. Do you mean the service worker did this in the field, or that it was just the service worker who happened to go?
Oh, the service worker entered this information digitally off the card that was above that into a tablet, which is then downloaded and saved digitally, and also compared to what was handwritten on that card for accuracy.
And when and where did they do this?
Oh, in front of the meter, it had to be by the meter in order to program and read the meter accurately.
Okay.
Like,
And does the water department make and keep these records as part of its regularly conducted business?
absolutely.
Okay. Based on this testimony, I'm moving City 1 into evidence. And again, for the board, I will be forwarding City 1 to the board as its own document. Now, did a water department representative go out to the property at 101 Geiger Road on May 27th, 2017?
May 27th, yes, that was on the previous screen, correct.
And if you need me to scroll up or down, please tell me. And which one? And I'll scroll up because I know it's not on that.
Scroll up to the previous, that right there would be the 17th.
Okay.
And what does it tell us?
It tells us that when the service worker arrived at the property, he found nothing wrong with the operation or the functionality of the water meter on place. The reading that it was sending to the reader van monthly, the reading that was actually physically on the register, and when they took a reading themselves on site there, all seemed to line up perfectly. He did indicate in the left-hand side of that work order card that there's a leaking property, that he noticed that the meter was constantly spinning.
Thank you. This particular individual, do you know who it was based on these documents?
Yes, it was service worker 964. You need his name?
If you have it offhand.
Sure, it's Yves Atulan.
Are they still employed by the water department?
Yes, this was a single individual who visited the property on this date. He is still employed with the water department within our unit.
Were you ever his supervisor?
Yes, I was.
Do you know why they went to 101 Geiger Road on that date?
They were called out because of excessive high usage. They were wondering if there was anything wrong with the meter, or if we could indicate anything wrong with what's going on at the property.
And can you tell from if I could interrupt, can you tell from these records whether he was able to speak to someone at the property?
In order to gain access into the property where the meter is located, they would have to have spoken to someone over the phone to create the appointment. A name and contact phone number is protocol, making appointments to go into enter properties, residential, commercial, to service any meter.
But while he was at the property or after his inspection, do you know if he was able to speak? Did anybody speak to anybody at the property?
That I could not answer.
Thank you.
Continuing. Now, did the representative take any photographs of the work he performed on that visit, or any work that he might have performed?
Yes, he should have taken photos. We should have photos on file.
Okay. Now, did a water department representative go to the property on June 9th, 2017?
Yes.
And do you know which one?
Based on this, it is service worker number 959. He's still with us, but presently he's out on injured duty.
And were you ever his supervisor?
Yes, I was.
Why did they go out to the property at 101 Geiger Road on June 9th of 17?
Again, they were called out because there was an excessively high bill, and most likely the next billing cycle, nothing had changed. So requested to come back out again.
Okay. And based on these documents, what did they find?
What they found was nothing out of the ordinary, nothing broken, nothing damaged. What they did do was change the electronic sending unit on the meter to see if there was any difference in the operations of the existing sending unit and register and what would be on the next one. Okay. They replaced it.
Now, that's an interesting point there. Can you clarify the difference between the sending unit, the register, and the meter body?
Well, the meter body is simply the brass vessel that the water travels through. It's magnetically driven gear inside of it that in turn turns the register, which is the clock face hand with the odometer on it, which is directly mounted to the sending unit, which is called the ERT. So the ERT, your electronic remote transmitter, the register, which is the calculator, are interwired together. So they send a unit, sending unit should send exactly the same reading as what's on the register.
Okay. So it is, if to simplify, the meter measures the usage, the register shows what the meter is doing, and the sending unit sends what the register is saying to the truck.
In layman's terms, perfect scenario, perfect
Okay.
example.
Just making sure I understand. Now here, I'll draw your attention to this last page of City 1. I see here this column, this code NON on 101 Geiger Road. Can you explain what that means?
None. There was no theft. There was nothing wrong with it. There was no damage. They weren't tampering with the meter or anything. There was nothing wrong with the meter itself.
Okay. And so was the actual meter body changed?
No, the actual meter body was not changed. Just the
Okay.
register and ERT.
Okay. Now, did they take any photographs of the work performed?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if the board pleases, I'm going to introduce City 2, what I've marked as City 2. Just allow me to do a quick screen share.
Okay.
And I'll scroll through these items while Mr. Dybowski, and if Mr. Dybowski, you could just tell me when you've had a chance to look at this and know what it is, and just nod your head.
Sure. Okay, what that is, that's the existing meter, register, and ERT that was found. If you'll notice that the bottom photo has a reading of 086510, and the red sweep pan is basically at the top around 12 o'clock. While the meter was moving, while he was on site there, you have exactly the same reading on the same device and everything there, except the meter sweep pan has moved to roughly around 2 o'clock. So that was just his before and after picture of what he found, justifying that everything was fine in operational, functional order when he left the property and when he arrived.
Okay. Did anything other than the reading change during this visit?
Not at that visit there, no.
Okay. What's this little blue thing right here?
That is our tamper-proof seal. We put that on all installations just to make sure when we return again that the number on that blue tamper-proof seal has been saved for our records and it is there and present upon return the next time we go to service the meter.
Was it on that other, okay, it wasn't on the original one there when they arrived?
No, it wasn't. When it's basically a policy that went into effect that everything, regardless of any evidence of tampering, damage, or anything along those lines, everything gets a blue seal on it from now on.
And about when did that policy start?
The policy's got to be in for all meters in and out using the blue seals. It's gonna be about 4 or 5 years now, I'd say.
Okay.
I
So
don't have an exact date.
All right. And now looking at these pictures,
Okay.
tell me if you recognize them.
Okay. The top photo there is a brand new register that he installed on his next visit out. I think that was in June. It displays the reading on it, the sending unit number on the top, and it has the blue seal on it to show that it can't be tampered with. The photo below is the register that shows what the reading was when he arrived there, the number that was on it, the sending unit that was there, and what was supposed to be in that spot. It shows all that information there.
Okay.
That's the found information.
All right. With that, I'm moving City 2 into evidence unless there is any objection.
Any questions or anything from board members that you would like to have answered before we move on?
Yes. So going back to the exhibit 1, sorry, I was going to let you finish your test,
You're good.
your direct. The first time someone went out, I believe the testimony was that there was an issue with the actual meter, or he noticed that there was a leak or some type of additional usage. Okay, so what is the time lapse between the first visit and the second visit, and was there a repair between the two?
No repair between the two. The date on that's 5/27/17. Kareem, could you move to the next card, please? 6/9/17. So we allowed it to go a 30-day billing cycle before we returned again.
Okay.
Testifying now, Dominic, I just want to clarify, Dominic, to make sure I understand your question. Are you asking, there was no repair by the water department?
There was no repair by the water department, but I think the concern I'm having is the notation on the card from May highlighted that there potentially was a leak, but we just heard testimony that the notation by the card in June that there was no issue and that everything was fine. I just want to make sure that is the correct testimony.
If I might ask Mr. Dybowski, very briefly, when that none code, is that in reference to the meter or to other plumbing at the property?
That's only in relation to the meter, not to anything else within the property.
Now, these notes on the MROC, could they relate to the meter or to other plumbing?
They relate to the property that like I had mentioned, that the sweep hand on the meter never stopped running while the service worker was there. You could see that there was water constantly going through the meter, and he indicated that with leaking in property.
Okay. Does that clarify matters for you, board member Ward?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. If Mr. Cavallo has any questions on cross for Mr. Dybowski, I yield to him. Otherwise, I'd like to start my direct with Ms. Jones.
I do. So if the shutoff valve to the main meter coming in was shut off and the meter was still running, what would that indicate to you?
My experience that main shut-off valve coming in doesn't shut off 100%. The meter has no motor or electronic power that would cause that register to turn. The only thing that would move it would be water moving through the chamber, which is magnetically driven up into the register.
Okay. So if we had sent out an email to all parties saying that after you've replaced the register, that we went back to normal, do you still think we had a leak? We did nothing.
Well, it's one of these things, the way I see it. You say you did nothing. For my 27 years of experience, says you did do something. You just mentioned you'd sent emails out. So possibly in them emails, you could have asked them to check their toilets, see if they need hose bibs running, anything along those lines, and they could have repaired them or shut them off if they noticed they were running.
Okay, I'm going to testify for myself that we did not do any of that. I am trying to find video of us turning off the shut-off valve and all the tenants cooperating with us because we turned it off, they were shutting the water off, and the meters continued to run like crazy. Not just even normal average. You showed in and out and testified earlier of the minimal amount that it moved. So why did you put in a new register if there wasn't a problem?
Most likely it was probably changed because it was requested by the landlord, tenant, or owner. And in order to have good customer service, we changed it.
Okay. And we're familiar with each other, correct? From Milestone Construction Management?
Probably. We probably crossed paths. I've been around a while. Sounds like you know what time it is out there.
Absolutely. Just saying, we do commercial work, big buildings up to $30 million and gas and electric and whatever else have you. I have several properties. Is there any reason why I'd be wasting my time over well, that's not a fair question, but I'll testify. I have no reason to spend 4 years over an extra $1,000. Okay, I have nothing else. I just compared to the other things.
I just want to check something with you, Mr. Cavallo. You said that you asked the tenants to turn things off. It was that in that time period that was identified in your appeal to us, 3/28/17 to 5/24/17, somewhere in that time range. Do you know when that was in that time range approximately?
I couldn't say exactly, but if you don't mind me reading for 2 seconds, this email that's accurate from an employee that is no longer with us because of COVID. I, Dan Glacken, the property manager, is listed on the account for 101 Geiger Road. Contacted you this day, October 3rd, in regards to water department account named 101 Geiger and the account number. The water service account monthly bills for April and May of 2017 were placed into dispute on June 19th. The reason for a dispute request is that these previous month's bills were each approximately more than $1,500 higher than our average monthly bill of approximately $250 a month. Nothing new was done at this property to cause this spike in usage, and there were no found leaks throughout the entire property. The only issue we strongly believe is that either the meter or the register is faulty.
Thank you.
And it just goes on and says how much we use a day. So we had been going back and forth with the water department.
Okay.
To do our due diligence and prove that we weren't using anything. We had no leaks in any units.
Anything else from you, Mr. Cavallo? Before the board steps aside?
I still have my director, Ms. Jones.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished with yours. Please go
Yes.
ahead and on the city side.
This will be fairly quick. Hello, Ms. Jones.
Yes,
Have you had a chance to review this customer's account?
yes.
What kind of property is 101 Geiger Road?
Commercial?
Okay. Now, 101 Geiger Road LLC is challenging the bill in this matter from March 28th, 2017 to May 24th, 2017. What charges appeared on the bill for this property during that time?
Service, stormwater, and usage?
And were the usage charges actual or estimated?
Actual?
Excuse me. Now Mr. Dybowski has testified to 2 visits by Water Department personnel to the property in May and June 2017. Did either of these visits result in any billing changes or adjustments?
No,
Okay. Have there been any large fluctuations in water usage since the ERT was changed?
no.
Give me one moment, please. I need to log into Basis. Kicked me out. Ms. Jones, can you please pull up the reading history? For this account? Okay, and can you please look at the readings in 2018? And then look at the readings in 2021, the most recent year of readings.
Will you take that back to the 17 readings again? Because that's an area of question.
Well, I think my point here is, if Ms. Jones, if you could just kind of scroll through all the way up to the present day, is that the readings fluctuate greatly before, and if you could go before the period, after, before and after.
I'm sorry, I went too far.
And as you may notice, if the board notices, the meter key doesn't change throughout the whole period, meaning that this,
What doesn't change?
the meter key, the meter number stated on the left, which indicates that the problem is not with meter. It is a usage. It is a direct usage problem. This is what Mr. Dybowski was referring to during his testimony.
Could you go take it back to that date, that period that's on the petition, that between 3/28/17 and 5/24/17? Okay, thank you.
As you can see, there's a great deal of fluctuation in the amount of
Right.
water usage.
That's what
I'm trying to highlight here.
Yes.
Can we call out the two dates?
I think it's pretty evident, 4/30/17 and 5/24/17.
Correct.
Am I looking at the right ones?
Yes, those are the ones under challenge. So Ms. Jones, based on this, how would you characterize this? Would you characterize the usage as relatively steady or as fluctuating over time?
Fluctuating over time if you compare it to then and now.
And the fluctuations, are they regular or irregular and spiky?
Regular.
I think you cut out there.
Irregular.
Now, you can stop screen sharing. Has WRB ever offered the water customer a courtesy adjustment?
No. I'm sorry. Yes, he has. Yes.
Okay. Okay. For the record, what is a courtesy adjustment?
As policy, one credit adjustment as a courtesy based on the average usage. And that's one department policy per owner or household in a lifetime.
Okay, so just to be clear, so when did we offer 101 Geiger Road a courtesy adjustment?
September 3rd, 2010.
Okay,
Please
now,
repeat that date.
September 3rd, 2010.
okay, and when we offer a courtesy adjustment, what is it that we are doing?
Giving the customer a credit adjustment in it with his for unexplained usage.
Okay, and is this based on any factual analysis or is it just good customer service?
Good customer service.
Okay, and to your based on your understanding of WRB policy, is 101 Geiger eligible for further customer courtesy adjustments?
No.
Thank you.
I think unless there's something else that I'm not expecting, I think it's time for the board to step aside and discuss what we want to do on this matter.
I agree.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one moment, I'm putting everybody in the room.
The board, that is.
Yes, yes, the board in the room.
Did we leave you?
No. I don't know if I can do- it's like from here, from that. You, but you can go.
Okay. I think we have all of the board members back. The board has reached a decision. It's our decision to abate the penalties and ask that payment arrangements be made within 30 days of the date of the adjusted bill. I think that covers everything that we agreed to. And you'll get a letter from us that spells out our decision. Both sides have the right to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas within 30 days of the date of that letter. We need to poll the board in terms of their concurrence in that.
Paula Weiss, I concur.
Dominique Ward, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
And Nancy Camerino. We don't have Ryan Boyer with us now. He had to leave. And so it's the four of us, which does make up a quorum. We thank you for your participation today. We're checking right now for the purposes of of letting the city know whether or not the other two petitioners who were on today's agenda have arrived or sent notice to us. The last we knew, there hadn't been any notification from them, but give us just a moment to check that out. And Mr. Cavallo, thank you very much for attending. And we hope that you can have some further discussions with the city to resolve any outstanding issues that we did not address. And so,
Do you know what the new balance due is?
No, what will happen is you'll get a decision letter from us between in about 2 weeks, and then you'll get an adjusted bill from the water department with the new bill.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Okay, and so we know now that the other two petitioners have not come forward. And let these into the record. Molefi Birch, last four digits of the docket 1669. We have, they did not appear. And so unless there are any other comments from members of the board, we should be just marking this as did not appear. Anything else for the board, and do you concur?
Paula Weiss, I concur.
I was still muted. Dominique Ward, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
Okay, thank you.
1 second. Kareem, you don't have any information about this particular person, correct?
Actually, I kind of do. The property has been sold twice since the master entered their decision, and the amounts under dispute were paid.
Well,
Okay. I think the board should then mark this as
Yes.
no action needed.
right, yes, I'm sorry about that. I should have remembered to double check that. I was just going by the fact that they didn't appear here. So basically, that matter has just been noted, no action needed. And the next one is Consuela Brooker, last four digits of the docket 4092. Property address there is 1141 McGee Avenue. Does the city have any information on that one? We go to you first.
We haven't received any direct information or discussion from the petitioner. She did, in the intervening time, apply for and secure TAP assistance, which I think would explain why she might not have appeared. But certainly it wouldn't render this no action needed.
It would not.
It would not, no.
So on this one, we would be marking it as failure to appear. Have we had any failures to appear in the past, or that might lead us to mark this as no further hearings?
The initial decision by the master was a denial in 2016. Then the first board meeting was continued back in 2017, and then this is the first time it's been scheduled since 2017.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, that's not true. It had been scheduled before COVID on 2/5/19. It was then continued again, and then now it is listed again. So,
does the board wish to mark this as no further hearings, or just to mark it as denied for failure to appear? Any input?
I concur.
No, the question is, are we denying?
No further,
Oh, yeah.
no
Are we
further
denying-
listings.
No further
Yeah.
hearings.
No further hearings?
Yeah, deny with no further hearings. Dominique Ward, I concur with that.
Yeah, Paula Weiss, I concur.
George Matthews, I agree.
Okay, and I will agree as well. So that's denied for failure to appear, no further hearings. And that being the last item on today's agenda, unless there's something that I'm unaware of, this hearing is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
To
Have a good
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody, see you next
Bye.
time.
You
Yep,
got it.
bye.